If you thought medieval history was boring, think again. Many people today view this time as backwards, full of diseases, wars, and boring feudal lifestyles where you spent your life farming and in a constant fight to survive, unless you were part of royalty. However, a closer look into the period reveals the foundations of our modern society. And it's not just in the form of minor stepping stones, but also in the form of scientific advances, geopolitical alliances, the emergence of new empires, and massive shifts in religious history. So fasten your seatbelts and let's take a time trip into the period also known as the Dark Ages, which, ironically, were not so dark. Welcome to Untold History Guy, where you can find fun, fascinating, and sometimes shocking chronicles of history. Join us as we journey back and uncover the untold truths of the past. Number 1. The Western Roman Empire falls. We begin with the event that kick-started the medieval age. The fall of the Roman Empire resulted from numerous factors, most notably the Game of Thrones that was going on in its leadership, although it's Rome, so nothing new there, and the growing intensity of battles it fought against barbarian tribes. The truth was that the empire was constantly under threat from enemy tribes throughout history, but the onset of the 300s saw these tribes mount surprisingly effective attacks that weakened the empire to a shell of its former self. King Alaric, the king of the Visigoths, sacked Rome in 410 AD, and the Vandals successfully attacked Rome again in 455. Later, in 476, the Roman Emperor Romulus Augustus was deposed by the Germanic leader Odoacer, and the Roman Empire was never the same again. 2. The Norman Conquest of England. English history is quite fascinating, and it is closely linked to the fall of the Roman Empire. After the Roman Empire fell into disrepair, the province of Britannia was overrun by Anglo-Saxon and Viking tribes, and they asserted their control of the land by the late 6th century. Sadly, this came to an abrupt end in 1066 when England received some brilliant new rulers from France, and England changed greatly. The English language morphed thanks to the addition of new words and phrases. The society went through massive changes, and the beautiful medieval castles we know today came into existence. Starting in 1066, the Norman conquest commenced with the Battle of Hastings, where the famous Norman Duke William the Conqueror invaded England and battled against King Harold II. King Harold fought the good fight, but it was ultimately futile, as his paltry force of around 5,000 troops could not overcome the Norman forces numbering close to 15,000. As a bonus, he met his gruesome end during the war, which is captured in the Bayeux tapestry. Number 3. The Great Schism. If you've ever wondered where the Eastern Orthodox Church came from, the Great Schism is your answer. Single-handedly, it affected the trajectory of Christianity after it happened, as the church split between the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church. It happened in July 1054, when the Pope excommunicated the Patriarch of Constantinople from the Church, as this was the culmination of long-standing political and religious tensions between both factions. Today, both factions have billions of followers, although there were further splits in later centuries. Number 4. The rise of Charlemagne, the father of Europe. Ever heard of the Holy Roman Empire? Ever wondered where it came from? Are you wondering about the dude who started it? Charlemagne is the guy you're looking for. He was the king of the Franks between 742 and 814, and was responsible for the unification of Western Europe, courtesy of the Roman Catholic Church and military power. His reign also brought educational and political reforms that would affect the continent for thousands of years to come. He formed the Carolingian Dynasty in 771 after inheriting the Frankish kingdom and set about conquering European tribes such as the Saxons, the Bavarians, Lombards, Danes, and Bretons, and installing proxy rulers in those areas who had converted to Christianity. It was also during his reign that the Papal States formed, as he assisted the papacy in defeating the Lombards in 773. In return for his help, Pope Leo III crowned him the Emperor of the Romans in 800 AD, hence the Holy Roman Empire title for all lands under his control. Number 5. The Islamic conquests. If you thought jihadism is a purely modern concept, check out the medieval version, the Islamic conquests. In a world where Christianity was the dominant religion, if you don't count paganism, the spread of Islam was a quickly executed project that saw the Middle East, North Africa, and Southern Europe regions turn Muslim within a century. The rapid expansion began after the Islamic prophet Muhammad died in 632, with his Islamic empire splitting into the Umayyad and Rashidun caliphates. Thanks to the forces of disease and war, many empires fell at the hands of the caliphates, and the religion spread so quickly that it led to disastrous consequences, such as our next point. Number 6. The Crusades. It's hard to talk about medieval history without talking about the infamous Crusades, where religion was spread through the unfortunate reality of war. The Crusades were a backlash against the spread of Islam throughout Christian lands and the threat it posed to the rest of Europe. Their motive was to retake Jerusalem, which by this time was under the control of the Muslims, and involved 8 main crusades that happened between 1096 and 1291. The result was a bloody series of wars that depleted Europe's resources and manpower, as well as the fall of Constantinople and a surprising effect of the Roman Catholic Church gaining significant power in Europe. Number 7. The fall of Constantinople. Constantinople, which was the capital of the Byzantine Empire, existed for more than 1,000 years before it fell to Islamic Ottoman conquerors in 1453. This was shocking to say the least, because this city defended itself successfully against multiple attacks both from within and without, even after Rome fell. This event marked the last link the ancient world had with the medieval world. The only factor it could not resist was the cannons of Islamic conquerors, who targeted it because of its status in Christendom. The result of the fall was the conversion of the Hagia Sophia Church into a mosque, the unfortunate execution of the nobility, and the solidification of the Ottoman Empire. Number 8. The birth of the Magna Carta. Did you know that England, and the UK by extension, does not have a written constitution? The Magna Carta is the main reason for this. Also referred to as the English Great Charter, it was a series of laws issued by King John in 1215 and altered in the following years. Thanks to its existence, judicial laws were reformed, and a long-lasting peace treaty was effected by changing the powers of the royal rulers. In many ways, this is considered the first step England took to form its constitutional government, a system it follows to this day. Number 9. The entry of the Tang Dynasty. Lest you think this entire list will be about Europe, several events were also happening in the rest of the world, the mighty Tang Dynasty being among them. Ruling China between 618 and 907 AD, the Tang Dynasty took control of Europe after the decline of the Sui Dynasty. Thanks to this period, China entered a golden age of art, culture, and a governmental administration that made it one of the wealthiest empires in the world at the time. If you're a tea enthusiast, you'll also love this factoid. The Tang Dynasty introduced the new pastime of drinking tea. Number 10. Buddhism becomes the state religion in China. China has had a long history with Buddhism due to its influence on the country's culture, and this influence eventually spread to all its neighbors over the centuries. Chinese Buddhism is unique because it is among the oldest forms of the religion, and it's also mixed with Taoist and Mahayana Buddhist beliefs, which believe that one can attain enlightenment in one lifetime rather than multiple lifetimes. The official acceptance of Buddhism in China played a significant role in the acceptance of the religion in East Asia and cementing itself as one of the major religions worldwide. Number 11. Gunpowder comes into use. The spread of the Mongol Empire across Asia brought an unexpected entrant onto our list: the first use of gunpowder around 904 AD. Gunpowder was a medicinal Chinese invention. Can you imagine that? As it was initially created by Taoist priests. However, its use in China remained small-scale until the enemy knocked on its door during the years of the Song dynasty. By many accounts, this was the first time it was used in warfare, leading to the explosive future we know today. Number 12. The birth and growth of the Mongol Empire. If you're a fan of Genghis Khan, you have to thank the medieval period for producing one of the most prolific conquerors in history. Over a few years, he managed to unite various Mongol tribes and enhance their warfare strategies, leading to the ultimate conquest that spanned 2 continents, made the Silk Road smoother, and led to our next point. Number 13. The Black Death. Before the COVID-19 pandemic and the Spanish flu, there existed a far greater threat to human existence across the reaches of the Mongol Empire: the Black Death. This pandemic had far-reaching implications as it weakened the feudal systems in Europe, reduced the economic power of various economies, led to the premature death of millions, was one of the factors leading to the Enlightenment, and resulted in the development of scientific research. Sick! Number 14. The establishment of Cairo. After Egypt was conquered by the Islamic Caliphates, it was ruled by various dynasties that wanted a new capital, and this goal was accomplished by the Fatimid dynasty in the year 969. They wanted to establish it as a major center for Islamic learning and a hub for trade, which they succeeded in. In the long term, Cairo also became a hub for learning alongside Timbuktu after the fall of Baghdad in 1258, cementing its reputation for thousands of years to come. Number 15. Mansa Musa, the pilgrimage. Mansa Musa, the everlasting symbol of a bygone era, when African empires were insanely rich. He was the leader of the Mali Empire, and he made an unforgettable statement, giving away his gold while going on a pilgrimage to Mecca. His journey in 1324 was epic. He took around 60,000 people as part of his entourage and loaded up camels carrying tons of gold and other items. He made a stopover in Cairo and gave much of his fortune to the poor, but it was so much that it had economic implications throughout the region as the money crashed in value. Talk about powerful. So, what do you think about these key events? Which one surprised you the most? Are there some other important events we missed? Do let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from our channel for more interesting content.